Today's guest is no stranger to breaking barriers. From revolutionizing the way we talk about taboo products like period underwear to redefining comfort in footwear, Antonia Saint Dunbar has built a career on challenging the status quo.
We really opened up the conversation of let's break the taboo about menstruation. If you actually look at the Polynesian word for menstruation, it comes from the word tapwa, which means taboo.
But innovation isn't a solo journey. The right network, the right partners, these are game changers when it comes to bringing bold ideas to life.
You need to be able to have a network of people that really can help you get there.
And let's be real, entrepreneurship is not for the faint of heart. The road is filled with setbacks, landmines, and moments where giving up just feels easier. But as Antonia says, you have to keep going.
It's been a journey, but every time I've tried to quit, some sign comes. Keep going.
This is a conversation about perseverance, vision, and the power of challenging what's possible. Let's dive in.
Life is one big flow, right? Let's just flow with it.
That's right. Antonia Saint Dunbar is a pioneering entrepreneur and inventor who has made significant strides in industries traditionally dominated by men. As the co-founder of Thinx, she revolutionized the personal care and femtech space by introducing performance underwear and reusable period products, earning multiple awards and recognition such as Time Magazine's Top 25 Inventions. With her venture Antonia Saint New York, she has reimagined classic women's footwear by integrating patented comfort technology into elegant designs, addressing the long-standing issue of painful yet stylish shoes. Throughout her career, she's focused on creating innovative solutions that benefit both users and the planet. And I'm so excited to have Antonia join us today. So welcome to RedefineHER.
Yay! Thank you so much for having me, Brenda. I'm so happy to be here.
Thank you. When I first saw your interest in joining us on RedefineHER, I had to pause and fangirl for a minute because as the co-founder of Thinx, yeah, definitely. I was like, what? She's interested in sharing her experience with our listeners. How cool is that? So thank you. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Yeah, that was a labor of love, blood, sweat, and tears, right?
I believe it. Yes. Mm-hmm. Well, so speaking of that, your journey began with this personal need, and obviously with Thinx, it really began from a personal need that performance underwear and reusable period products were not available. Tell us more about your experience with Thinx and share how that initial idea transformed into such a revolutionary product.
Man, it was an amazing journey. So obviously, all great innovations and inventions come from, I think, necessity. They're needed. And myself, I had at 13 years old, had a leaking moment when I was doing pajama day at high school, and the running back said, "Oh, Tony, I think you sat on some ketchup." And that moment of shame and embarrassment, stayed with me, for life. And I thought back to it when it was 2010. My Thinx co-founders, Mickey and Radha Agrawal, we went to India together for their cousin's wedding. And it was on the banks of the Ganges River that Mickey told me about this idea they had when they were running a three-legged race, and Radha started to bleed in her bathing suit. And they were tied together. There are two identical twin sisters. And they ran to the bathroom, and Radha's washing out the swimsuit, and she's like, "Oh my God, why doesn't stain-resistant, technology exist? Here it is. We're living in the era of technology. Why isn't this something that we have?" And she told me this idea. And that night, actually, there's a second part of it because we have this problem, right? Leaking, staining, underwear that doesn't support us, underwear that doesn't think of us when we are living in the moment, right? We should have smart underwear. We have smartphones, we have smart tech, but no smart underwear, right? So the idea was that maybe someday we could make a pair of underwear that was stain resistant and would think of you all the time. And then we could also have a give back of some sort. And so after this trip, we started to talk about it, think about it. We started to meet every week. We started to really take this seriously. But that night, when I was back in India, I just want to say, I wrote in my journal, and Google has all my secrets, by the way, which I've actually stopped now. I used to send myself emails, but that entry from that night was, this idea needs to exist. This is $1 billion idea. And I, at the time, was really searching for purpose. I was really, my soul was not happy. I was raised to be a classical cellist, not an innovator, designer, problem solver, but it was in me. By the way, I was raised, which we could talk about, but I did not know that this idea was going to strike in me this fire to really make it happen. And so 2010, we're meeting. 2011, we're meeting. I'm still working in a job, though, in advertising. 2012 comes along, and a couple signs pointed me to the direction where in about May 2012, I quit my job and started to work on Thinx full time. We launched the Kickstarter 2013. I won free office space for us the end of 2013 about, worked from there, launched everything. And then, it's been an incredible ride. Kimberly Clark is now, shareholder, bringing the brand global. We hit, 100 million in revenue. And we really opened up the conversation of, let's break the taboo about menstruation. If you actually look, the Polynesian word for menstruation comes from the word tapwa, which means taboo. And so if you can't talk about something, how are you ever going to address it? Therefore, there were no other really good solutions out there at the time, because how do you market it? How do you discuss it? How do you get people to understand it? So we really broke through that. We became Newsweek's, cover story. They called us the Nike of the Menses. Yes, we won Time Magazine. I actually have it here. Best inventions. I have a plaque with that. And, we really shifted culture, and it's been quite a ride. And man, that was my first entrepreneurial journey. I learned so much, but yeah, I'm so grateful that I chose to commit to it. And one of the things that I really loved about that, and I think also what helped the story carry out as far as it did, was because we were addressing a problem here, and we also were addressing a problem in the developing world. We partnered with AfriPads as our first partner, who was going to work with us to create an empowerment model. They were making washable, reusable cloth pads, and they were empowering local entrepreneurial women to make the pads, to sew them, to actually go out in their villages and sell them. And we could then sell a pair of our Thinx underwear. I developed it to make it not just stain resistant, which was the original idea, but to make it antimicrobial, moisture wicking, leak proof where you needed it, and absorbent, and put it in a beautiful, best in class, gorgeous product, right? So we had that solution here. But then in the developing world, we said, you know what, you're making these pads. How about we offer a pack of 7 washable, reusable cloth pads to get her through every day, and we subsidize the cost so that they feel empowered. Okay, I can afford this, and I'm going to tell my friends about it. Oh, I'm going to help these entrepreneurs sell it because I'm creating business and revenue. And so our first market was Uganda, where AfriPads was based in Africa. And that, solution and that story here and over, in Africa, it really got people excited. It got people that cared. They wanted the solution for themselves. They wanted to make a difference for other girls, because really there's also the girl effect. You empower that girl to stay in school and not drop out by something as simple as their menstruation. She uplifts her whole community. She puts the money and the care back into the family. She rises everybody else because she continues her education. She continues to support her family, and it's a win-win. You really empower the girl. She becomes a woman. She takes care of her family. She elevates the whole community out of poverty. It was so satisfying to be part of it. I found my purpose. I was doing good in the world. That was something I really wanted to do. And yeah, I could say so much about the journey. It was incredible.
I love the fact that you're giving back to underserved communities, for one.
Yeah.
But two, women make up 51% of the population. Hello.
Yeah.
Why are we not doing smart underwear for women, right? And how had that gone so far overlooked? And the reason is women's health has not been addressed, right? It has been a long, long, long time underserved.
Yes, long time underserved. And we've been left out of the design conversations.
1000%.
There's a great book I was reading on. I'm sure you've probably been, exposed to. It was a bestseller and it won many awards, Gender and Design. But it is so good talking about how from crash test dummies to, development of drugs, they're not studying women's bodies.
No.
Sure, the average male is going to perform differently in a car with a seatbelt than a woman who's heavily centered in her hips, right? Or pregnant, right. So all of that. And so for women's underwear, they're beautiful. They're like, not so functional. And when I was designing where the leak-proof layers would go, the patent that I self-authored, I was very inspired by Sarah Blakely, the founder of Spanx. She was really my spirit animal at the time. And, she wrote her own patent. And here I am, classical cellist, went to Northwestern University on a music scholarship. I had no business really in my mind at the time doing this, but I was like, she wrote her patent for, the footless pantyhose. All right, I'm going to figure out how to write a patent. And so I did it. And I started to think, okay, where do I want the leak-proof technology to go? Where do I leak at night? How wide do I want the gusset? How much support do I really need? Because I am the user, right? And so too often we have product design led by people who are not using the products. It's a lot of patriarchal, male-dominated manufacturing, design, not thinking about the women. And I'm so glad that things are changing and that women like me are solving that, bridging that chasm, that divide, and really getting the solution. Because the underwear, if it is designed by a man, let's say for Thinx, they'd give you like this panel, I'm showing you like an inch of
right.
oh, that's all you need, right? And I heard a funny story from someone the other day when they were thinking of sending a woman to space, right, with the right menstrual supplies to get her through however long she's there, a year. And they're like, should we send her with like 100 tampons? I mean, really? So anyways, it really is something. And also, I do want to touch on, so now that I mentioned 100 tampons, sustainability is something that drives me. We need to be creating products that are more, designed in balance. I'm all about balance, mental health balance, products that support your mental health, but also support the planet. So a menstruating human, right, through their lifetime, 17,000 pads or tampons disposed into the landfills. And they're primarily plastic wrapped, even the organic tampons, primarily plastic wrapped. But we wanted to also cut down on that because Thinx is a reusable product. You're not throwing it away. You're using it multiple times. I love to wear mine multiple days before I know it's coming, just so I have it on the ready, and I don't leak, right? And then afterwards, and also childbirth. Yes, Thinx does have an incontinence line specific for that, but childbirth changes your body. You might need a little support there.
And as you mentioned, timing-wise, even perimenopause and the changes within our bodies during that time, you might not know when to expect your next visitor.
No,
our moon cycles may not be always with the moon. And so being able to have a product, having a product like that supports a woman wherever she is in her cycle and in her day-to-day is so amazing. And you know what? There's so much opportunity. There's actually someone recently shared a McKinsey report on women's wellness, and there's so much opportunity for women's health and for product development and for healthcare to be done outside of the physician's office, right? Because we spend our lives everywhere else.
Right. Yeah.
You brought up Nike and design and male-dominated industries, right?
Yes.
But you made a big transition from personal care to footwear.
Yes, which is also personal care in a way. Like, my God, how much of your mind is influenced by your footwear? Like, if I have a painful pair of shoes on, I cannot be present. I want to go home. I want to sit down. I don't want to do the meetings that I might have set up for the day. I mean, I think everybody who's listening, who's ever worn a high heel or even a pinched flat shoe that's hard and unforgiving, like, we know that affects our mental health, and our, personal, like, that is personal care. Am I taking care of my feet? Like, it really affects you. A garment has movement, that doesn't, yes, you can have a scratchy label. Yes, you could have it too tight, but really a shoe, man, good shoe makes a difference.
So tell me what inspired you to take on this challenge with creating a new product line, new footwear?
Yes. So the journey actually is fully connected to Thinx because during that, 2013 year, when I was in Center for Social Innovation is the name of the co-working space I won for us by being part of the Incubator Mass Challenge in Boston. That was like one of the prizes that we had. And I got this free office space for like 6 months, and I'm walking there from the train this was in the Star at Lehigh building, which is a very famous building, fashion building, big spaces, beautiful, but it was so far from the train. And it was like, 15 minutes. There was no city bike then. And I had to walk there and back and then do whatever else I had to do the rest of the day after taking the train in on a long commute also. And I was down to one pair of shoes, even though I had probably 100 other pairs that were cute, that made me look great, or that matched that outfit, or I chose to wear when I wanted to feel powerful. But girl, I could not move in them. Like, I would have stories for all of them. Like, well, that's the one that I can wear 2 blocks. and then I need to sit down. Or that one is just like really chunky and like, yeah, it's kind of comfortable. Man, it's it's not cute. So I resigned myself to this pair of black low-heeled boots that was cute enough and comfortable enough to get me through, and it kind of matched my outfits enough, and da-da-da. And I was like, there's got to be a better way. Like, this is ridiculous. I am wearing these things to death. And I was like, this sucks. And so as I had, got my design brain started for the Thinx, my design brain came alive again with the shoes. And at the time, there was a really great company that had an innovative idea. Another female founder. She was on the same floor where the food court was in the Start Lehigh building. And she had a company called Soles, SOLS. And they were orthotic inserts. And she would customize your fit by scanning your foot and getting a customized orthotic insert made, and you could put it in your shoes. So I was like, God, what a great idea that is. Oh my God, what if we could just make these shoes that are beautiful? Like, I don't really want to do an insert or orthotic. I want to make a shoe, like a classic silhouette, be embedded with comfort and really have it, surround your foot from top to bottom. And I was like dreaming about it. I'd sketched out a few ideas. So, time would go on. I was never really able to work on it. I was so busy with things. And it was, I don't know, as destiny would have it, before the birth of my first daughter, I was able to start thinking about it. And my Thinx journey ended, and I started to focus on this full time. And I consulted with two amazing shoemakers that happen to be women in New York. And they made my first prototypes, but they made them by hand. Shoemaking is a lot like car making, literally. Sure. You are getting components that are built. This is actually the first hand skive design from one of the shoemakers to outlay all the tech of where I wanted the comfort, the layers, how much I wanted it built up for the arches, for the ball of the foot. I consulted also with a leading podiatric surgeon who got me to, I want to show you a component, who got me to, make adjustments based on the other issues that she saw in her customers. So, in the beginning, you start with like, this is one component. This is called an insole board. You don't even think about this being in the shoe, but
no,
you need this. And if you change this, it changes everything else and you cannot assemble it. So you really have layer upon layer upon layer with shoemaking. It's much different than making a garment. I have had quite the learning curve with this. Ever since having my first daughter, in 2017, I, was nostalgic. We launched Thinx actually on Kickstarter. I launched also the shoe company. It's called Antonia Saint New York, by the way, in honor of my grandmother, Antonia. Beautiful. And Santa Cassessa, my great-grandmother. I honor them for my matrilineal line for being so strong to come here to America from Italy and start their grand voyage so that my grandmother ended up becoming an entrepreneur in her own right in real estate in New York. And then my journey, followed after my mother's. And, I launched it on Kickstarter, and unlike Thinx where we raised something like $60K, oh my God, this was just gangbusters. It was 1.8 million, 7,000 people wanted this solution that I created. And so I was like, whoa, this is intense. Product wasn't ready then. This was in prototype. Right. So that's what Kickstarter does. They help you with your first prototypes. So Enzo, my little son, is trying to barge in because that's life for you, right? As an entrepreneur.
This is life.
Anyhow, I knew, okay, the market needs this just like I need this. And, it's been quite a journey. Wow. Learned so much. Production partners from first started in China where we first had Thinx production done. And then I moved it all to Spain, shoes made in Spain. Now we have this amazing production partner. We survived the pandemic. We survived production losses like you would not believe, where things weren't made right. One zipper broke. We had to recall all the inventory, and I've had to innovate with strongly entrenched patriarchal systems where these male shoemakers are telling me, why do I need to add that comfort piece there? Right. It's not going to make a difference, but maybe, I'll try. And I'm just like, oh my God, I know you're an expert at shoemaking, but I am an expert at women's blisters. I am an expert at wearing, like a 2-inch, a 3-inch, a 4-inch heel and knowing what it feels like.
Right. And so, for hours on end. And
yes,
bad shoes, bad underwear, bad bras, they've got to go.
They've got to go. And they've got to be designed by people who make them. So, for instance, like this new Vita Classic I'm showing your, whoever's able to see, one thing I would always get is a blister on my big toe because you're forced to go forward in the shoe with a pitch,
Right.
especially a pitch that's like a 90 millimeter, which is above a 3-inch like this. And so I built in soft cushioning on the toes that's pushing it back into the shoe. It's a soft ultra suede lining. It feels luxurious. It feels like a hug. And then I also built up the padding and really took time when developing. This is called, in shoe production, they say first you begin with the last. And this is the last. This is the foot shape. I'm showing, if whoever's listening, you can't see this, but I'm showing a big solid shoe form that is the shape of a foot, but a foot that's made to be a point. I first tackled the pointed toe because I think pointed toe is so elegant, Even if you were wearing literally a garbage bag, like whatever,
right,
a high heel with that, you're styling, girl. And so anyhow, we developed this last so that I would have room to put all the foam tech that I envisioned. And I was just like dreaming of. And yeah, it has been a labor of love and pain. Again, blood, sweat, and tears, resilience. Oh my goodness. Keeping on, to see this through and make my production partners innovate with me. Sometimes you'll lose a production partner because they just get tired. They're like, enough with the samples, enough with the changes, enough with keep making it better. We just want to make you shoes. And they'll cut corners. And then, you have huge losses with lots of zeros. A lot of my Thinx, payback from my equity went into the shoe company because I believe in this product. And we needed to keep it going. We had to keep innovating. And so, here we are now, and we've got incredible partners in Spain. Our production partners get it. They've made the changes that I want to make. And now the shoes, we have as high of a 90 millimeter. I love my Emma Janes, by the way. This is a top seller. These two straps, I love them. And now we're doing mid heels, unlike all the styles that we need, like a slingback that's actually comfortable. Are you kidding me? With a sweetheart top line. I mean, I'm so excited. We got so much, and they're all gorgeous. And padded straps, no blister, padded straps, y'all. Look at that. Tina Party dancing those. So I'm, it's been a journey, but every time I've tried to quit, some sign comes. Keep going.
As you mentioned, both of your grandmothers, and you're standing on the shoulders of giants, right? And even though this
resilient
has been
women,
definitely, and even though these industries have both been fairly male dominated, in a way you still need them. So you need to create those partnerships.
Because they're running those factories.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what challenges, or what's been the biggest challenge in terms of reinventing footwear? What's been the greatest challenge you've experienced?
Well, what has been the greatest challenge in creating any solution, really? And there's been several, but first thing I'd want to mention is raising money. So with Thinx, I want to address that first because, first of all, you're talking to primarily, male suites of investors who don't understand why this is necessary and think it's gross, right? And they just don't see the vision. I remember too, like, because we were treading new ground, we would go to these, undergarment shows, and like Hanes was across the way. I remember them like gossip, like looking at us and like covering their mouth, like, oh my God, look what they're doing. What the heck, And now they have their own period underwear, right? Like everybody has come in our
Wish
trail.
I would have thought of that first.
Yes, everyone's coming the trail and realized now it's a great idea and needed. And so that is one thing, how to raise the money. And thank God we broke through, and we had 2 incredible rounds. First with our production supplier, who became an investor in us and helped us go, really launch. And they're based in Sri Lanka, an incredible company there. And then with Kimberly-Clark, who gets the space. They understand they've got feminine care products, personal care products, and they dominate with their brands globally. And that's really what we want to do, is expand globally. With the shoes, also with the first company, Period Underwear, it really is the innovation challenge, getting your suppliers to understand and have as much passion and foresight and vision as you have. Like, I will tell you, this is like a little bit of a trade secret, so I'm not going to visually show you, but if you ask a supplier, hey, actually I will visually show you. Okay, I want to make a wider width because women, we have wider feet. Please make a wider shoe. They will literally take this and they'll give you a millimeter. Like, okay, they're like, that's wider. That's it, right? That's all you need. And I'm like, no, it's not. So you got to talk to so many people along the line to communicate your vision. Because if, like I said, it's car construction, right? If your foundational piece is not made correctly, then you can't therefore go and make your, insert that you're going to put on top size correctly, because nothing is going to match up then. One change one place, you have another change that's needed another place. So you have to advocate for yourself. You have to also inspire others. Keep going. Believe in the dream. I know we're not there yet. We're 3 feet from gold. I love that story from How to Think and Grow Rich. And there's the story of this gentleman who was told, and I think there was gold that was found on this big piece of land at one point. And the person he bought it from was then done exploring if there was any more gold. They had, run their course. And so he bought the land with the vision that he was going to find more gold. He bought all this expensive equipment. He got a whole team to be digging, and he really tried hard to find this gold. Well, he did this for years, and there was no gold, okay? And he was about to give up. Sure enough, he gives up. He sells his equipment. He sells the land. Next guy comes on. The easiest thing ever. Makes the machine start, gets the team. They dig for 3 feet. And there is the gold. Gold ore, like crazy, massive amounts of, abundance at that point. So really, that's been kind of how I felt about this whole shoe business, because we have not yet reached the world. We've not expanded the vision out like I'd like it to be now. Only now. Hello, I've been at this for a while. I had this idea in 2013. We are now having this conversation in 2025. Sure, I only really started at launch Kickstarter in 2017. But my God, how many times, had to hover during the pandemic. No one's buying dress shoes. Had to leave behind a production partner that was such a proud Spanish man. He would not let me bring in my own quality control people. So he was literally sending out shoes that had inserts that were folded over in the toe, that if you tried to put your foot in it, you couldn't, because he didn't understand the technological, and he wasn't letting me get it right. But he was just not going to let me do what I needed to do to make sure we had a successful product. And so I had to leave after many years there, and I'm dependent. I have all my lasts with him. I have all my components with him. I have all my R&D with him. And I had to make the painful decision to leave. And so, all the resiliency, all the continuing to, oh my God, can I get through this challenge? Can I get through this challenge? I made a pair of boots. Like I said, I mentioned briefly, the zipper. Someone on the zipper team got me a bad zipper. And those zippers had to be all taken off. These boots had to basically throw them away. And I'm a sustainability person too. I'm making a product that's supposed to go the distance many years, maybe give them to your kids to wear, and then to have to do that, it was gutting, right? Definitely. So that has been the biggest challenge, to innovate and also have the resiliency. And I'm going to pick myself back up again. I'm going to keep believing. I'm going to keep trying and not give up. I am not allowed to quit, because I know that these products are needed. They're solutions. They're empowering. They change your state of mind. You can dance in them. You can move in them. I like to say, you want to have a strong foundation, but you want soft shoes, right? You don't want hard shoes. And so if you're going to go out there and be all that you're meant to be, you got to keep 100% of your mind focused on what you're doing, fulfilling your destiny, what you're saying, and, how you feel plays in such a crucial part of that. So yeah, innovation, getting the people, I love working with female investors. Hello, female investors. Let's get in touch. We need more women getting women support in business, which I love seeing now. There's great funds now that are all, female founder focused, and with female women, women who are high net worth that are able to support other women. That's what we need,
And it's happening. Definitely.
It's happening.
Yes. So you face skepticism and funding challenges and resistance to change. If one of our listeners has a big, bold, creative idea for a product that she feels she might be getting pushback on or might be challenged in securing funding. What advice would you have for them to overcome these challenges and maybe move that 3 feet and tweak their technique?
Yeah, dig that 3 feet and get there. Well, a couple things. Get yourself a really great network of supporters who are going to build you up when times get tough. I love masterminds. I was invited to be a founding member of Chief, which is a great organization for women, has a location here in New York, and now they've spread all over of that organization. It's all female, women in business. And we had a conference every month, I think it was. Our core, it was called Core, and we would meet, and I was talking to confidentially like major CEOs that are women of these hugely visible companies, and we were really telling like war stories, and to see each other go through it and to strategize and give each other ideas, or call this person, I know, you need a COO, it was just so helpful. Or to also have a perspective shift. Like, you might be seeing it so totally in this way because you're so deep into the problem that you can't see there's an out. Where the door closes, there is a window, right? You need to be able to have a network of people that really can help you get there. So I would say that. I would also say it's great to consult with somebody. I do have a consulting business, AntoniaSaintDunbar.com, that will be launching soon. And, go to people who have gone through the battles so you don't have to go through those same battles and make those same mistakes that I have learned by trial by fire, and get the expertise so your learning curve can be fast and not as painful. I've had some excruciatingly painful experiences that, are gems of wisdom for somebody that really needs to, and wants to create something. And I would also say early on in your idea development, like, don't tell too many people, because there are people that will zap your courage or your stamina if it's not, you're still in the birthing process, right? You need someone to hold your hand like a great midwife, but like, you need a great midwife and a great doula. Like, you need support to get you, to go the distance. And the naysayers, those who have any negativity for you, you cannot let it in. If you really believe in this, if you have signs, I love to pay attention to signs from the universe. I've had too many signs, both with Thinx, both the shoe company, to be like, okay, keep going.
Well, and I think our intuition and those signs from the universe are such a great gift. And so many of us close them off, maybe because we're a bit afraid of what they're telling us, right? But like you shared that you had deep loss, and we doubt, definitely. Yeah. You shared you had deep loss and devastation through like the impact of the pandemic. I mean, what signs did you see at that time that allowed you to find that resilience to pivot and keep pushing?
Oh my gosh. Remember when it was like a trickle of conversation? I think it was maybe in December that there was something. And then we go into 2020, which I like to say is the year of clear vision. 2020, you have perfect vision. 2020 was the year where a lot of veils were lifted. Like, whoa, seeing things on a massive scale of how things could shift so quickly. I mean, my God, can't leave your house, businesses being destroyed, a lot of corruption. It was a very intense year, right? Anyhow, somehow I knew I need to get free of this office space. This is expensive office space. Okay, we're packing all of our stuff. We're putting stuff in storage. We got to weather the storm. What is happening? And I let go of all my staff. And my co-founder was my husband at the time. And I remember driving in the U-Haul, getting it all out. And we just had to get small to weather through this. And so that's when we changed and we actually made sneakers, okay, you're wearing sneakers? Fine, we got sneakers for you.
We can go sneakers.
Yeah. And we embedded it with cushioned amazingness and all that. It was really challenging getting through the pandemic. And then, dealing with all this, losing inventory that you've made, that you put so much effort into, and then it just wasn't made to your standard.
Sure.
And, you have a handmade product made by many different shoemakers. You could literally have a shoe, if it doesn't have good quality control at the factory, it's also very much like a insular, secret business. You don't have a list of people to go through. They don't let you know who's making who. You got to know somebody. You got to be introduced. You got to crack the code. And that was challenging. And so yeah, lots of loss of inventory, stuff I had to, sell off. And yeah, it's been challenging, and I do the best I can. And I realize, at the end of the day, I'm one person dependent on many others. And I really hoping that this year, that we're in now, I can really do a good job with my customers to be like, hey, we're on this journey together. if there's anything that you want to see, if there's anything that, something happened, let us know. Like, we are innovating, we are improving always. It's got to be important enough to you to keep going, because the path of entrepreneurship, it's got landmines all over it, especially when you're making shoes. There is a reason why a lot of fashion brands, apparel brands, don't actually have shoes. If you notice,
Sure.
it's only some that go into shoes. Really, oftentimes it's a standalone because it's capital intensive. I caution anybody wanting to go into the shoe business. It requires a lot of zeros at the end. Our model really is a model of, because these shoes are so in demand, we want you to place your order, and then we're going to make them as batches come through. We're not just sitting on inventory. We want to be sustainable too. We don't want to just hold something and then have to sell it through. Like, we want to make it as it comes. And so, yeah, you have to hold the vision close, be passionate about it. Is it something that you really can go and have the stamina to keep going through in creating? I mean, since I started the shoe company, I've had 3 kids.
Right.
And, is it something that you can juggle, that balance through too? Like, do you have a good team? Do you have people that are helping you with this? I have an incredible COO who also has a great design essence. I met her actually while I was pregnant. Argentina Flores, shout out to you. I needed a co-working space after Thinx. I'm heavily pregnant. I'm embarrassed. And lo and behold, wink from the universe, there's Argentina at the top of the stairs, who owns a co-working space, who is also pregnant, who had a daughter 1 month before me. And she ends up becoming my COO. We've worked together ever since the beginning. Find the right people. I'm so grateful. I have support from people like Argentina to keep the vision going, to have these amazing shoe production people that are making it now for me. And yeah, it's quite been the journey. You have no idea.
I believe it. I mean, I have no idea. And I also can understand. I mean, there's just so many components to it. And one thing that she really touched on is asking for help and being vulnerable, right? And even if you're just putting it out there to the universe and it's responding, you have to look for those signs.
Yeah.
You also mentioned people. Like, building a company isn't just about the product. It's about the people behind it. And I talk to so many product leaders, and in the digital health space, which I'm sure in tangible product space, it's similar. And what they have said, a very common thread, and it sounds like you're doing it as well, is involve your users early and often. And for example, in the digital health space, get the input from your patients, from the clinicians. What problems are you trying to solve? And as you've mentioned, with designing a shoe for both elegance and function and comfort, there's so many pieces, and we all would love to think that we can do it all on our own, but we can't. We don't have all of the pieces within us. What have you learned about leadership and about assembling the right team to bring your vision to life? I mean, you mentioned the insular manufacturing partners and not having control over quality. What do you do? How do you connect with your own wisdom to make sure you're bringing on the right people?
Yeah, well, it has been a tough lesson for me to learn, because I really love people and I want to believe in the possibility of making something work. And so sometimes I get attached to somebody and I'm just like, but okay, I've invested so much in this relationship. Can't we just try and fix this? And then there's times I've learned, that they're not going to change. Some people can totally change. They are willing. And like my production partner now, who has innovated with me multiple times now, they're on the journey with me. The other supplier really couldn't adjust. And I had to basically finally have the moment where I realized, oh, they will be the death of us if we stay together. I have to leave. And it was a personal relationship at this time. I felt like, you get to know these people. I knew their whole team.
Sure.
And it pained me to have to say, I can't anymore. Like, there's no way. You really have to communicate your vision and find the right people and inspire people to the vision. And if they're going to get it and they're going to help you, then they're the right people for the project. And if they're going to, modify the way they do things, if they're going to be open to the change that might be needed. I do find the beginner's mind, they talk about this in Buddhism, right? I'm not embedded with the whole shoe industry in my brain. Oh, this is impossible because I know all this stuff about fit and creation and construction. No, I came with this blank slate of, well, why can't we put this there? Why can't we do this? Why can't we make this? And I would make prototypes out of paper, and my sketches. And, you have to have people around you that are willing to release what they know a little bit and be like, oh, actually, you're right. If we did do this,
If you were speaking to another founder, what would you say this is the first step you should take in choosing a team that supports you and backs their cause? How would you tap into that, their own wisdom? What advice would you give them?
I mean, a resume is one thing. A recommendation is one thing. There's many layers to finding somebody that looks great on paper. They might have worked with the best brands. They might have said things like grew such and such to such and such massive amount more. Make sure you're finding someone that you can really trust. And then other people, get to know them, and does it feel right? Have tough conversations with them. See how they respond. You really have to, in some instances, when you're hiring an accountant, do a background check. That's somebody that's in your finances. They've got social security numbers. They've got really sensitive information. And, don't make, I don't think in the beginning, really long-term commitments. If you're bringing somebody on as an equity partner, it's great to do vesting. Have some milestones in there. Make sure they're going to perform and not just be like, oh, I got my percentage, I'm out. Or I'll do a little bit and then I'm going to sit on that. Yeah, go step by step. Don't bite off more than you need to with any one person. And equity, I think too, when people bring people on and they try to entice them, especially when you don't have a lot of funding in the beginning, you've never really worked with these people. Take it easy. If I look back at my potential cap table for Thinx, I could have had so many more people on that table that really would have been needed for a short period of time. But sometimes you can really mess up your cap table way too early with that, bit of advice. Given, definitely take it slow and let the relationship build and let people reveal themselves to you. And if it feels right, then okay, set things up. Get contracts. Don't go pie in the sky. So yeah, get things in writing and make sure it's with the right person.
Well, and I think you made a great point too, in that people might be there for a part of your journey.
Yes.
They might not be needed for that entire going the distance. And I think we really have to leverage that and understand that. And I think that comes from building those trusting relationships.
Yes.
And you can move on from these peers and colleagues with compassion.
Yes.
And honesty. It's better for everyone in that way.
Yes, exactly. Definitely learning these lessons. It really has been quite the journey. And, if I didn't take a business, or investment, an MBA class. So when I was signing contracts, I was signing it as, okay, I didn't really know what I was signing. Sure, I asked a lawyer to look at it. The lawyer ended up missing some things. Right? It's best to really, when you're getting into serious contractual binding agreements that will impact your future and your family's future, what you want to create, read every line. And when that last version of a contract comes to you and it's been some time, you better sit down and read that thing line for line again, because it could change. And you could have partners that actually might not be telling you the whole story because maybe they have something they want to do. They have a vision for where they want to go, and they're not really sure that you might be on that trajectory with them. Maybe they want to have more for themselves. I don't know. You don't know who necessarily you are working with when you're, co-founding a company with somebody. If you've not known them that long, or maybe there's a breakdown in some trust or communication, you're going through something, right? So read every line, protect yourself, get a good lawyer who's going to also read every line with you, and understand the clauses. What does it mean? What does it mean to have a cash call? What's that? Let's learn about that. You really have to understand what your rights are. Will you have rights as a board member to review the records? What percentage? If you have a less than a certain percent, you can't review the records. So really, these contractual things impact your ability to navigate within the company that you yourself may have created.
We all put our heart, our whole soul, everything on the line as entrepreneurs. And we're so vulnerable and trusting. And sometimes to an extent, it gets us in trouble. Yes. So I love that. Have a support network, have a team, have people who have your back, and also look out for number one.
Yes.
With Antonia Saint New York, you're celebrating your 9th anniversary in March. Congratulations.
Yeah, woo! Right? I think I wrote it in maybe I shared that with you. We filed the trademark for ASNY, Antonia Saint New York, 2016.
So cool. You have to feel very proud about that.
Listen, yeah, our time is now. We've got a great PR company. They have interest right now from major morning shows. Get me on TV, please. I am ready. Anyhow, I just want to shout it from the rooftops. Like, we are here. Get into your closet. Like, let us reclaim all these beautiful shoe silhouettes for you that have been so painful or problematic. And it's been, wow, almost a decade. Yeah, it's been a journey, and I want to see it through, and I want to see it in Canada. Like, I want to see it in stores in America. I want to, because we've been D2C. It's only through AntoniaSaintNY.com.
Right.
And so people come to the web, but it's great to be at Nordstrom's. Hi, Nordstrom's. Let's go. And have them experience, like, firsthand, like, what it feels like on the foot. Try out different sizes, try out different widths, because we have that too, right? So
Definitely.
yeah, I am ready for this year to be a catapult year. Yeah, I'm ready to get it out there. It's really hit. We have cracked the code on this shoe, and I just want everyone to know about it.
I'm so excited for you.
Yes.
And with that, you've done this with 3 children under 10.
Yeah, 8, 6, and 3 as of this recording. And by the way, my 3-year-old is a boy. Thank God for the first 2 that are being girls. And they love to color. They love to make things, play with their dolls. They're so happy together and also independently. But my little Enzo, who tried to interrupt the recording earlier today, he is my 3-for-1 deal. Like, he is 3 kids in one. And a boy is just, a classic boy is different than a classic girl. Like, they want the trucks. They want to climb on you. They want to know, want to know what you're doing.
But how do you balance all of that? A founder, a leader, a marketer, an entrepreneur. You're like, all systems go all the time.
Let's peel back the curtain on that, because there is a wizard behind the curtain. There is no, Dorothy in the La La Land of Oz by herself.
No.
I have 2 amazing pillar women that hold me up. My family is not here. I grew up in Michigan, Farmington Hills, and my parents also passed away, and my sisters are in Michigan. But, all my support network is elsewhere. And so I have an amazing friend, Elisa Cesarini, who has Innovative Youth Care, who knew before I even knew that I needed some support. Someone just come and be with me even a few hours a day. And I had been working on the shoe idea, right? And I did need few hours a day. I was pumping, and giving it to my nanny, who my friend Elisa helped me find, Lily. And Lily was an absolute godsend. Oh my God. She, she's from Colombia. She raised 2 of her kids of her own. She would help me like 4 hours a day just to actually have the space. But I also really worked from home a lot. And she was my support, and she helped make that happen. And then a couple years later, a friend that I met when I first moved to New York in 2005, her name is Satya. And man, she is such a good friend. She gave me a place to live back in 2005 when I knew nobody in New York. She gave me a place to live for like $200 a month back then. Saved my life, right? Basically helped me stay in New York. And then years later, she's like, hey, do you need a nanny? Like, you gotta be kidding me. Are you kidding? And she actually started off cooking for me because she's an amazing cook, and I just needed a couple meals made. And so she would bring the meals over, and then my kids started to love hanging out with her. And I was like, oh, could you stay? I need to jump out for a minute. And then it just grew from there. And so these 2 women have been my pillars, and they have supported me. And that is what it takes. Yes, some family you have. Some family you might have to, set aside some budget so that they can take the time to be there with your kids and focus, Yeah. And so I have that. And let's look at that and be like, yes, sometimes I didn't grow up with nannies. Kidding. My mother did it all. She had a business with my dad, a graphic design business. So it was a home-based business. They both went to Pratt Institute, both artists, creatives, my parents. I had my mom present. She worked from home. She was always there. And I have no support like that. I had to find that, to cultivate it. And so it's okay to reach out for support. It's okay to have a babysitter. It's okay to talk about having a babysitter. It's okay to talk about having a nanny. Mind you, I know so many celebrities, women that are out there on social media, they never talk about their staff support. Why not?
Right.
Why don't you have a photo with your nanny in there? There's still, I think, a lot of shame around it or something, because we want to be able to do it all. No, it's not. That is an illusion. Total freaking illusion. There's a fantastic child psychologist. I will share this because I think it's a wake-up call for our culture, because man, we've made strides in getting women in the workplace, getting us to be more in balance in the world, getting more presence in ideas and creation of products, business, whatever. Whenever a woman is present in anything, it goes better. Because by the way, every king was advised by his queen. Okay.
1,000%.
Yeah. So here you have us thrust into the workplace. There's still no pumping rooms. There's still no privacy where you can plug in many places. You go through an airport. What do? There's still no paid family leave at the quantity that we need it.
Definitely.
There's so many things that we need to support a motherhood journey in our country. Childcare is obscenely expensive. You can spend half your check on just childcare alone, more than that. So, women, we have to be very creative in how our children get cared for. But I do want to say, and I want this to really help, I'm hoping move the conversation forward, because a mother being away from her child for, let's say, even 8 hours, a baby, a 1-year-old, a 2-year-old, 3-year-old is actually a long period of time. This child psychologist, she says, really, how long should you be away from your baby in the beginning? Okay, you got a 1-year-old. Be away for an hour and check in. Just have a little hi, give a little hug, a little snuggle, and then you go away. 2-year-old, okay, 2 hours. Give a little hug, just check in. You are their world. You are the compass from which they go out into the life and know that they're safe. Okay, 3-year-olds, okay, 3 hours, go away. Mama goes, check in. And I'm like, wow, that's not a lot of time. How do you support that? So I would love someday for there to be co-working spaces that have this. If a mom wants to be close, the whole host of, your daycare is there. And it just increases the mother. Nervous systems are fully developed. And you feel safe in the world to explore and to create and be, because that bond has been, protected. There's a lot of scared people out there. There's a lot of frantic people out there. And so you see people later in life, wow, it can really affect people. Yes, sure, people can change. Yes, sure, the network can come, the support can come. But from childhood, from birth, yeah, it makes a difference. So as a mother, as an entrepreneur, I have tried to carve out and find the support to be there and be present with my children. And I've done some very non-traditional things, I guess, but they're traditional as of 100 years ago. When the pandemic happened, by the way, I did not want any part in it. And so I said, oh my God, my kid's going to need to be in partitions, wearing masks. Forget it. I'm going to create something. I'm going to have a little pod. I've never done homeschooling before, but I'm going to figure this out. So I, created a whole homeschooling community. I had 40 families reach out to me and want to be part of it. And I found teachers and I set up a whole program. And yeah, I continue to be a homeschooling mama to this day, not teaching myself, but finding great teachers, finding great communities, finding friends for them. And so I've kept my kids close in that way too. Think outside the box. If there's ways in which you think you can get a closer, or make the time that you have with them really count. Don't be on your phone. Be present with them. Even if you only have the morning, maybe a lunchtime call, and like the evening for bedtime, or maybe you're lucky enough to get home for dinner and have that spread of the evening together. Make it count. Make the time quality, because your children will thrive with that. And they need you. There's so many distractions, and you being there with your phone and still checking, like carve out time not to do it, and be present for them.
When that's a great point around support systems. What you created supported you both professionally, not just personally, but without that, it's really difficult to keep pushing forward with your vision or to sustain your own well-being and self-care, right? You have to have those things.
Yes.
I recall one of my employers, my son was probably 5 at the time, and they had said, you made the decision to work and your husband is staying home with your son. That means you make the sacrifices. And I was vowed to prove them wrong, because it's not. The sacrifice I make is leaving my child, and I want to return to him and be with him.
All that we need to shift in our culture to help support that journey, because there's so much that needs to continue to change. And women are needed in the workplace, actually. We're needed there.
Oh, man, we are so needed. Better decisions are made when women are involved.
Women.
Better products are made when women are involved.
Yeah.
as you mentioned, the queen has always given advice to her king. And whether you'd like to believe that or not, I would question that 1,000 times over and over again. Women are needed in this every corner of our world and our workplace.
Totally.
Getting into really the power of design, you've talked about how good design can really shape not just our comfort, but also our mental well-being. How do you ensure that the products that you've created, Thinx and Antonia Saint New York, and your every shoe that you might come to produce, but any product that you create, and even for people who are considering products, but how do you solve practical problems, but also enhance quality of life?
Well, you need to see as you develop them, is it really providing you the solution that you need so that you do have the peace of mind? Is it really functional? Is it really performing? You have to do product testing. You got to be the user. You got to be the wearer. You got to give feedback to your production suppliers if something needs to be changed to change it. So there has to be product testing built in. All innovation is iterative, step by step. These changes go. And so you need to be part of that process. And like you said before, invest also your customers in that journey with you. So you get their feedback to really involve them in the process. So you need to not climb every mountain at once and pick, okay, what are you going to focus on, right? And what solution can you solve and help the most people? And really start from there, because otherwise you could potentially spin all your wheels, lose all the money, right? Trying to take on everybody. And you just can't. You gotta stay focused. So yeah, it's really a process, and engaging feedback is so important.
Most definitely. And in a way, it is a bit about niching down.
Yeah. Yes.
Gaining clarity, getting your focus so that you can deliver a better product ultimately.
Right.
Your dad, he was a designer as well. I think you mentioned for General Motors, right?
Yes. Yep.
Growing up in a creative family, design was obviously a central part of your upbringing, and you were a concert cellist. I mean, all of this, there's so much art and creativity involved in that. How do you think that influence has shaped your approach to designing products that blend innovation along with function and beauty and sustainability?
I would say that it influenced me greatly, and I had no idea that it was. My dad and my mom, they met at Pratt Institute, which is a very well-known art school, creative, reservoir here in Brooklyn. And my dad actually got in on the GI Bill, so he got it all paid for. He grew up in a very poor family in Akron, Ohio. But his creativity and his talent and his skill got him into this school. And he met my mom in the photo lab. He saw her blue eyes in the dark, dark room looking at him. And that was it for them. And he got recruited from his teacher's recommendation to work at a company, and did like neon signs and signage for them for a while. And somehow an opportunity came up to work for General Motors in Detroit. And they went to Detroit. My mom grew up in, Canarsie and then Massapequa. My grandparents had a very successful real estate business out there. My mom would always be in New York, but she left New York to be with my dad to go for this job at General Motors. And my dad ended up becoming one of the, chiefs of design and industrial designer who would do car show displays. He would do office, displays. And this is actually one of his paintings that he would do in the night.
Yeah.
An op art piece. He would do also the awards that would be displayed and given out to people. He was doing the artwork on the certificates that they would give to stockholders. But then really his claim to fame there was he was the lead of the team that did all the car logos. So there he is presenting his Cadillac crests, right? And all the car logos. That Thunderbird with the upturned wings was really my dad's vision. He had this perspective of good design, improving your life or making it harder. Frigidaire was actually owned by General Motors, funny enough, back then. And they did a kitchen of tomorrow. He invented a refrigerator that sort of opened like a clamshell. And it was very cool. It was like 1950 something, right? With this Frigidaire concept. And in fact, in the house that I grew up in, Farmington Hills, Michigan, there was a stove and a refrigerator my father designed in this really gorgeous brown color, but it lasted for 45 years in that house. It was so well made, and my dad designed it. And how cool is that? So I saw an out picturing of products being made, being created, And then we would drive cars from GM that his friends were designing, and we would give feedback. And once we gave feedback, they would then go into the used car lot to be sold that way. But my dad would be like, "Oh, Tony, look at the handle. I can't even see it. Where is it? Oh, the raising of the window and lowering, that's too hard. It's too far away." Like, we'd have this conversation. And anyways, we'd take these long car rides, and my dad would be pointing out if there was like a new building being constructed. He'd be like, "Oh my God, look at those columns. They're so out of touch with the whole structure of the roof. That thing looks like it's going to fall over. The designer, he should be shot," like all these things, right? And then, "Oh, look at that car logo. That looks so great." Or, "Oh, it's hard to see." Or, "The headlights. Oh, what an abomination." So I was seeing this, through his eyes. And then after General Motors, he actually was asked to be a teacher at Center for Creative Studies. And he had an industrial design class there. And he taught the kids how to design water bottles.
Cool.
And
Yeah.
what's a good, cap feature? How can you close it? How can it be transportable? Does it have a handle? All these things that you don't realize affect your life. And so he really instilled that in me at an early age, that you could either become in a bad mood, or things could break or fail or da-da-da-da because of design, or you could really be supported by good design. And I learned it from an early age, and I didn't really think about it until I was presented with the idea of this stain-resistant underwear. And I was like, well, how do I want it to perform? Where do I need it to, be super absorbent? How much absorbency do I want? Oh, do I want gradations of it? His DNA came alive inside of me. And then I think my mother's DNA came alive inside of me with, also the making it beautiful, tempting beautiful things. My mother loved beautiful things. And I just always wanted to instill that in whatever I created, that it's both, the balance of beauty, form, and function. There's a divine geometry, to the universe, the Fibonacci sequence, the golden
Definitely.
ratio. Yeah, that design sense really informed me and shaped my vision of the world. And I'm so grateful that I have had that. And I never knew. And it came alive inside of me with this. And I'm very fulfilled in creating. I love creating.
You stayed curious and you stayed open to it all. And you've mentioned, this takes us back to the beginning of our conversation, but searching for those signs and being open to seeing them. And things probably wouldn't have happened for you if it hadn't happened at that moment that you were in,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Yeah. I think it's very much about just be present.
Yeah.
Be very present with where you are and listen.
And taking the risk, and you have to have a support structure, however you find it, right? Maybe you don't have the financial ability to hire the help. Okay, get a community of women together. You're going to all share childcare. You're going to take their kid. They're going to take your kid. You're going to find a way. Where there is a will, there is a way, right? And I remember quitting my job. Actually, the way the story goes is there were two, almost in a way, back-to-back tragic deaths with people that I knew. And one of them was on the street right down from where I worked, okay? Literally falling off of a balcony 4 blocks from where I worked. And this is a guy whose name was on my calendar for lunch, okay? A couple weeks in the future.
Right.
And I had been partying on a rooftop that night. They were celebrating a job promotion that night, okay? And in New York City. And I was just like, oh my God, life is too precious. I can't do this anymore. Just live your dream. And so I realized, holy crap, I have really no financial net at the time, no financial net. But I had my partner and we made a way through, and I lived on pasta. And I mean, I just fought to make this Kickstarter video, and I was hungry enough. And I was also so inspired by Mickey and Rada. I was so inspired by my co-founders.
Right.
And I was
totally different paths.
Yeah. And I was like, oh my God, they're out there. They want me to be their co-founder. I feel supported by them. I'm enthused. There could be something here, even though I have no money at the time, and I just could see it though. I could see there was something. And so I am the one that stopped everything and worked on the Kickstarter. I was the one that was okay, I got to find the factory. I got to find I got to design the product. Okay. I'm going to go all the underwear places, and what are the best selling styles? And okay, what do I love? And okay, blah, 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 and you got to take the risk. If you go and just take the risk, find whatever support that you possibly can, take the risk if you really believe in it, get the support. And it can happen. You got to believe,
1,000%. And a colleague of mine just today had made a mention of something, and that success lies in the stuff that you're not doing. So take the risk, make the
Yeah.
move, believe in
Yes.
yourself.
Yes.
I love that.
The road
I love
less
that.
traveled. It's like, keep going. You're on the right path. Just keep seeing
going.
it. Just go.
I love that. What is next for you in your journey? You've got a new shoe line, a new approach to fit, new exciting partnerships, and a big dream to grow the brand worldwide.
Yes.
A new book coming out.
Yes. I'm writing.
Yes. And your consulting practice.
Yes.
So much going on for you. How do you see your work evolving? And what are you most excited about in these next, even if you put it into, what are you going to tackle by Q2?
Yeah, I will say that the projects that I'm involved with have a common thread of, mental health, like underwear that performs for you, shoes that perform with you, that keep your mental health balanced. I also am a survivor of some some traumatic events that happened when I was younger in college, and be in the world and develop the skills of resiliency to work on mindset, to work on how to overcome whatever might have happened, whatever choices or people or situations might leave a scar in your heart, in your mind. Those are big, big, important things that I want to be sharing with the world of how to do that. So I want to help people also find their skills, their tools, and also help the children of the world know them, because we are of an age where there's going to be a very big challenge of discernment. What's real, what's not? Is this a good thing? Is this a bad thing? Is this going to make me feel good in the long run? Or am I just going to get like immediate satisfaction, enjoyment, and then I'm going to feel awful for the rest of my life maybe? Or I get in an addictive situation. Like there's going to be all sorts of interesting things ahead. And so how do we help the generations coming up that really are going to be without guardrails, and really need to know quickly and soon how to navigate? So the development of that is something that I'm very passionate about. I'm writing a book. I want to record my journeys to inspire others, and, so others don't need to make the same mistakes. My consulting business, AntoniaSaintDunbar.com, which will be up shortly, maybe up by the time this airs. People can find that support and get the help that they need in bringing out the ideas. Don't ever let yourself be limited in thinking, well, why me? Who me? Who am I to do to change this? Who are you not to? Right? Like, if you can see the solution, that it's needed, why not? Yeah, there's other things I love to do. There's so many solutions that are needed. I'm very passionate about plastic consumption, not having it, right?
Definitely.
And if there's innovations in that space, I'm all about supporting and putting my mind behind. And so I'd love to patent other ideas and, do things like that. So yeah, there's a lot to come, and I'm working with incredible people on some new things. So you stay tuned at AntoniaSaintDunbar.com, at AntoniaSaintNY.com. I guess you're going to get to this question, but I'm already filling it in now. My Instagram, which is Antonia Saint Dunbar, and I share stories there that are more personal and insider stuff that I'm working on. So there's a lot of good stuff, and I'm so grateful to be able to keep fighting to see another day and keep making it happen. And really, customers, I will also say this: be patient with your innovators. We are on the front lines. We're taking so much.
Right.
Like, let's support each other. Find a way to find the compassion to be like, you know what? If they've offered you a % discount, if they've offered you a free pair of shoes when you buy another one, like, make it work somehow. Don't be out there, to be a bully. And I don't want to say that. It's awful to say, but really someone that keeps going in the negative direction, what is that? Like, let's communicate. Let's find a way through. And I think, immediacy, the demand for immediacy, the demand for things to be perfect on the first round or the second, sometimes the third, you got to know that if there's a real committed, honest trailblazer that's really taking the heat at the front and really trying to innovate for you, help lift them with support, because it is hard, So I ask for patience from people and to support your innovators,
Yeah. This conversation has been wonderful. And even though it's been just a short initial introduction to the world of Antonia Saint Dunbar, I have full confidence that everything you put your mind to is going to come to fruition. Your journey has been one of resilience and perseverance. If you were to give one final bit of advice for entrepreneurs who are just really questioning themselves about should they keep going, what would you say?
I would say one of the first steps is, if it's been really hard and you see it the way you're seeing it, figure out a way to get maybe some business leaders or people you really admire, or people that not even in the same industry as you, like just collect 20 people that you just admire, that you think are great thinkers, whatever. Set up a call, a Zoom, or have a session in the city with part of them on the Zoom so that you can be real time with some people too, and tell them what's going on. What are your problems? And you can get from those 20 people these minds that are not bewildered by what you're going through, maybe even emotionally, and they will expand beyond the confines. So I'm also an investor in higher conscious business concepts. One of them I love, and I love them all, but one of them I love, and they really had hit a roadblock, and they were almost going to be like, we can't make payroll. We can't, da, da, da. And just my energy getting in there, making certain conversations happen, making the perspective shift a little bit, like, don't look at it this way. How about this? How about you do XYZ to make your revenue bigger at the storefront? It just really helped them re-enthuse them, reinvigorate them, think outside the box again, right? Because in entrepreneurship, oh my God, in motherhood, in any project that takes forever, when you need to keep renewing you got to keep filling up your gas tank. You do go to empty. And so how can you get that gas back in your gas tank? How can you get the momentum again? How can you get passionate again to build the momentum for the next level to be achieved, right? So
definitely
get people around you. Do not exist in a silo by yourself. That is a kiss of death. We're not meant to be alone. That's why we call it community, unity, togetherness. Like, we need not only our customers to buy from us, to understand what we're creating, but we need someone in our inner circle that is helping us stay fresh and present to the battle to make this stuff, right?
Definitely.
So yeah, reach out.
Yes. Don't be too humble to ask for help.
Yes.
And let's straighten each other's crowns, right?
Yes, girl. Yes, queen.
Love it. Is there anything for our listeners that are inspired by your work? Is there anything that they can do to support or participate in Antonia Saint New York, for one, or any of your consulting practice, perhaps? Or you did mention the mindset group that you are also building in community. Will you send us that information so we can make sure to have it in our show notes?
I will plant a seed for that. I'm a founding partner. And that is called Beam, BEEM, and Beam Future on Instagram. You can find it. It is really the seed that is beginning right now. And it is teaching mindfulness practices to children and really activating that community all over so that it can coexist in any part of the world. And there will be retreats and classes and curriculum, just really amazing stuff. So definitely stay tuned there. And then, yes, Antonia Saint Dunbar is my consulting business. You can find me there. You can also find me at Instagram, Antonia Saint Dunbar. And then buy shoes. Tell your aunties, your mama, your grandma, your whoever. We got heel heights and shapes and toe shapes of every size and type. More is coming. So sign up for the newsletter there and follow the Instagram handle too, Antonia Saint NY as well. And check out the stories. And there will be announcements for some fun clubs and loyalty and affiliate stuff. And when you do fall in love with a shoe, post about it, create some content, tag us in it. We love seeing that. And there may even be a tour upcoming in New York to see these shoes in person. So
cool.
Yeah, stay tuned at all the sites for all the good stuff.
Wonderful. We will put all of that in the show notes for sure. And our last question, you obviously did this at Thinx and you're doing it with Beam and you're doing it in your own practice, but what is something that you and your team can do better to support the most vulnerable women in our communities?
Wow, that is a piece that I really want to get back to. I actually co-founded a factory called Brooklyn Shoe Factory back when we first started the shoes with my two original shoemakers that made my first prototypes. Keiko Hirosu, she actually has Brooklyn Shoe Space, which teaches shoe making skills in Brooklyn to this day. She's an incredible teacher. And Rebecca Hikes was the one who made these incredible hand-done inserts I showed you. She made the shoes, right? And we founded Brooklyn Shoe Factory to try and bring manufacturing to America, which we learned was pretty hard to do. And we actually worked with a group, Restore New York. They help women who have been abused and who could be homeless, or primarily they've been trafficked and from other countries. And this is their rehabilitation to find jobs and meaningful employment that takes care of them. And so we were on track to be employing these women and giving them jobs. And so I want to get back to that. I did it with Thinx, with the AfroPads. You know, I do find that that is something so core to my heart. I know that I'm empowering the women who wear the products, but I would like to do more to see these populations, know they exist, and help them in getting meaningful, honest employment, being able to support themselves, being able to support their families with the shoes. And as we grow, stay tuned, because you'll see it. As everything gets on track, 100%, that is part of my ethos, is part of my heart. Profit and purpose. Why is it to be profit? I'm not enthused by just profit. Sorry, I'm not. I've got to believe in it. I've got to know that this is making a difference in people's lives. So yeah, the sustainability focus, I'm satisfied with that. I know that I'm working with that, making products of more enduring value, just making products that are more durable. That's very important to me. But, you know, I do want to make an impact on the societal level more so. And that is something, because I certainly have tried every step of the way. And we, as the revenue continues, will do more. 100%.
I believe it 100%. Well, thank you so much. This was a beautiful conversation, and just hearing about your journey and the impact you're making and your experiences, so very inspiring. And
Thank you,
really
Brenda.
the week that yes, so meaningful too. And I'm excited to share this with our network as well. So thank you for sharing your insights today.
Thank you, Brenda. Take care, everybody. Rock on.
Thank you so much. Wow, what a great conversation with Antonia Saint Dunbar. From breaking taboos in women's health to revolutionizing comfort in footwear, she's shown us the power of resilience, innovation, and purpose-driven entrepreneurship. If there's one thing to take away from this podcast today, it's this. Keep going. The road is tough, but with the right network, the right mindset, and the courage to challenge the status quo, real change is possible. If you enjoyed this conversation, don't forget to subscribe here or anywhere you listen to your favorite podcast. And be sure to share, like, and leave a review. Together, let's continue to redefine what's possible in women's health and wellness. Until next time, stay inspired, stay empowered, and keep redefining her. This episode of Redefine Her is produced by Taryn Long and Brenda Armstrong and proudly sponsored by Idiom Talent Partners, experts in search and placement services for health tech and femtech companies focused on building dynamic, inclusive teams. Learn more at idiomtalent.com.